to Atlanta, the oldest on-campus FBF stadium in the country. It's time for some clean, old-fashioned hate at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Mark Richt is 7-0 coaching Georgia here on the Flats as we get ready for the 110th meeting of the Dogs and Yellow Jackets. Mullins, 12-year NFL veteran Anthony Becht. Anthony, the season really didn't go according to plan for either of these two schools, but still plenty at stake, particularly if you're 8-3 Georgia.
Well, a lot swirling around about head coaches. Les Miles, Mark Richt here at Georgia. If the players want to have a say in this game, they'll come out aggressive, physical, and they'll execute. And on offense for Georgia, it's going to start with one man, their running back, Sony Michel. He is their power back. He's the guy that's going to get up in the hole, be elusive. He's going to get a heavy dose of the run game today. Look for him on the football field to bet big yards for this offense.
Those last 6 games since replacing Nick Chubb, who's out with the knee injury for the remainder of the season. Georgia won the toss and they will receive. They have the overall series lead. They have been close matchups over the last decade or so. In fact, the last 2 meetings both decided in overtime, each side winning once. And today, Georgia Tech looking to win at home for the first time in the series in 16 years. There is a look at Mark Richt, the head coach for the Georgia Bulldogs in his 15th season, second in wins to Vince Dooley at Georgia. And that includes a couple of SEC championships in 2002 and 2005. For Paul Johnson, his 8th year at Georgia Tech. Last year, they were playing in the Orange Bowl with an 11-win season. Things have not gone their way this year. They come in at 3-8, their most losses in over 2 decades. And for the first time in 19 years, they will not be headed to a bowl game, but certainly they can make the next 364 days a lot more palatable with a win here this afternoon. Harrison Butker, the hero of last year's win for Tech, will boot things away. And it goes over the head of Reggie Davis and out to the 25-yard line for Georgia. And Grayson Lambert, who's a native of Jessup. He's a graduate transfer from Virginia who actually played and lost here last year quarterbacking the Cavaliers, and now he returns with the Dogs.
Yep, Grayson Lambert's completion percentage is good. He's a nice intermediate passer. The problem is consistency, especially in the deep ball. They'll be challenged today. Look for some play actions. They're going to try to hit their best receiver, and Malcolm Mitchell on the outside, trying to make some big explosive plays, which they've lacked.
Mitchell will go to the top of your screen, and Sony Michel is the setback. They'll run play action, and on the boot, downfield, Lambert to Terry Godwin. Did he make the catch in bounds? Yes, he did. Out to the 43-yard line, and a Georgia first down. Chris Milton had the coverage, and an 18-yard gain.
One thing about Terry Godwin is some of the catches he's made the last couple days. Pulls the ball in, looks like his toes in bounds. Can't tell if he kept control.
This ball may have hit the turf underneath his belly. They will let it play on. Christian Payne now is the fullback in front of Michel. And Sony will get the call off the left side, out across the 45-yard line, and a pickup of 4. Sony Michel starting the day just 73 yards shy of 1,000 for the season as we check out our impact players.
Yes, Sony Michel is an elusive back. He'll be used heavily today. Malcolm Mitchell is their best wide receiver. Keyshawn Freeman, their best pass rusher in the back end. Jamal Golden, he'll be in the box. He'll be in coverage. He'll be an important factor to make those one-on-one tackles against Sony.
They will start 4 seniors in that defensive backfield. 3 of them have played over 50 games together. Lambert to the air, Godwin with the catch right around midfield, and he's corralled immediately by Step Durham, the sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida. And it will set up 3rd down and 3.
This Georgia Tech defense has struggled. Missing tackles has been their biggest thing. Big plays last week. They created no turnovers and some big pass plays down the field. This is a manageable 3rd and short for Georgia's offense, what they're trying to be in, where they'll use tight ends, play action pass, and their backs out of the backfield to move the chains.
Georgia has not been strong on third down this season, trying to change that today. They'll go trips right. Lambert across the middle, caught for the first down inside the 45-yard line to Michael Chigbu. By the way, we do not anticipate seeing Isaiah McKenzie, the sophomore wide receiver and the best return guy for Georgia, who was injured in the Georgia Southern game last week.
And he was a very good secondary running back, running the jet sweeps on the outside, a nice change-up player for them. So he will be missed, but a nice conversion by Georgia, hitting the quick slant with accuracy. Nice drive early in this game.
Two tight ends for the Dogs. Chigbu in motion. The give is to Michelle. He puts his head down, burrows his way down to the 40, into the arms of Patrick Gamble. It's a defensive front for Georgia Tech that sorely misses Adam Gotsis, their best player, who was lost midseason to an injury.
It really is a huge loss. You talk about stopping a heavy run offense. He'll be missed at that defensive tackle position. Big NFL body. Had a huge game against Florida State. A big reason how they were able to upset them a few weeks ago.
Mitchell will line up wide to the top of your screen. Brendan Douglas now in the backfield. Got to hustle to beat the play clock here. Douglas will get the carry. Undercut right at the line of scrimmage by Jamal Golden, who ties the school record today with his 54th appearance in a Georgia Tech jersey.
This is, you'll get rivalry games right here. A lot of guys pushing and shoving each other. This means a little bit more than the records might indicate. Throw those out the window. When you're in a rivalry game, these guys are from Georgia, both players. A lot of these kids played against each other in high school. This is big in these games.
25 starters for both teams today, Georgia natives. Including the quarterback, Lambert, out of Jessup. Blitz coming, it's picked up by Georgia to throw to Godwin right at the line to gain, and they're going to mark him a yard and a half shy. 6-yard pickup. Step Durham stopped him from getting the first down.
This could be an area where you keep your offense in on the field. You got some big linemen that can push the line of scrimmage. You got a running back that can squirt through small holes early on in this game, setting the tempo. Good chance for both teams. Who's going to step up at the line of scrimmage? Will be the defensive line or the offensive line early on in the first quarter.
Michelle needs a yard, and he'll get plenty more of them. Touchdown, Georgia.
When you get down in those 4th and shorts, and you want to get multiple defenders in the box, you better make sure you hone in and make a tackle. Nice blocks. Obviously, your fullback becomes an important component of blocking. Look at Theus on the outside, the right tackle, the fullback jamming the linebacker, and there's nobody home at the second level. And Sony Michel's got big breakaway speed. Takes it up the sidelines for a touchdown.
He only needed one, but he got 34 yards. And he's got Georgia on top. Marshall Morgan, the extra point. 8 plays, 75 yards in 4.5 minutes.
Sony Michel with the big run up the sideline, starting this game off for Georgia. Big rivalry. We see emotions flying early between these two teams up early in this football game.
Georgia scoring on its first possession, converting on a 4th down. Sony Michel, 34-yard touchdown run at 7-0. Get Ohio State, Michigan on your tablet. That Clemson, South Carolina game. Put that on your smartphone, Anthony. Louisville, Kentucky, the Cats in need of a win to become bowl eligible. Marshall Morgan kicks that one into the end zone for the touchback. As we set up the offense now for Georgia Tech, and Justin Thomas running that spread option attack. Not a big guy, just 5'11", $189, but he beat Georgia last year and went on to become the MVP of the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, Justin Thomas is a spark plug. 491 yards rushing, He is the energy, the electric. He is the reason why this offense has been so productive over the years. His numbers are down quite a bit, especially in the passing game, but they've had so many freshmen and injuries around him. He's been able to lead this team this season.
And another injury, we do not expect to see Marcus Allen in the backfield today. This is Clinton Lynch, who has probably been their best guy over the second half of the season. He'll pick up the first down out to the 45-yard line, bumped out by Jake Gaines, and a run of 24 yards.
Yeah, he plays that A-back position, so those will be the two running backs on the outside edges of the tackles. The back behind the quarterback is the B-back. A lot of deception, a lot of things. You got to follow the football in this football game. It's going to start with the quarterback, Justin Thomas.
Scove, Lynch, and Willis now the three guys in the backfield. And this will be Willis trying to get the edge. Gaines in pursuit. He'll slow him down, but look at the surge by Willis across midfield and close to the first down. He got another couple yards with Mauger hanging on him as we check out our impact players. Freshman Marcus Marshall is actually their leading rusher this year.
On the defensive side, Leonard Floyd, Jake Gaines. These two players in space. You saw them right there. They got outflanked by this running attack of Georgia Tech. They will be tested on the perimeters of this football game.
It's a Georgia Tech offense that ran for nearly 400 yards in their win last year against Georgia. Slammed around the 43-yard line. Floyd was there. And let's check in with Paul.
Beth and Anthony, Justin Thomas, much needed towards this offense. Triple option in the run game, obvious. But Jeremy Pruitt told Anthony and I before the game, Justin Thomas is very underrated as a passer. He's got great touch, especially outside the pocket. He's not just this run quarterback.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. It's about extending the play with him. You'll see him roll out, drop back off fakes, and he can manage himself around the defense and find the open man late in the play.
Scove, and it's pulled back out of his belly by Thomas to keep it alive. And he may pick up a yard, if that, as Georgia was all over it, and an injury at the tail end of the play, and that is the quarterback, Justin Thomas.
Oh, man, he takes a hard hit on the sidelines. He's injured early, Beth, last week against Miami.
The redshirt freshman Matthew Jordan, who has played in 4 games, including replacing Thomas last week against Miami, will now check into the game. On third down, here comes the blitz, and they get to him. Aaron Davis with the sack out of the secondary. And it's fourth down as Thomas gets attention on the sideline.
He's going to make nothing out of something here. Looks like he tripped on the tarp, kind of slipped and fell down. Doesn't look like it's something upper body, but just a weird way he fell on the sidelines.
Almost looked like he extended his leg in a funny way there as the punt is away. Tech will be able to down it inside the 5. Chris Milton with the hustle to down it there, but concern on the Georgia Tech sideline with their quarterback Thomas. They're already down a touchdown. Seven to nothing. Georgia with the lead over Georgia Tech. 7:19 to go here in the first quarter. Some concern for starting quarterback Justin Thomas, who landed awkwardly and then crashed down hard on the Tech sideline after a running play on that last possession. It was hurt last week. It was upper body. This appears to be lower.
I think you're right. I think he just, quickly hyperextended his knee. Looks like he's walking around, bouncing a little bit. They were treating him on the sidelines. Hopefully he's back in this game. We've talked about it since the start. He is a big key for this offense.
They got a nice punt here from Ryan Rodwell that has set Georgia back inside its own 5-yard line to start out this drive. Sony Michel off the left side, out to the 9. Chris back here in Atlanta. Another nice run by Sony Michel, and that will move the chains as he picks up 14 more yards.
Yeah, right now they got 2 tight ends in the game on the outside. We talked about backside cuts. Sony Michel's done a nice job of squirting through, making big plays. He can get them in bunches, Beth. Right now he's playing well early.
5 carries, in fact, Anthony, for 59 yards, including the 34-yard touchdown. Christian Payne had a nice block on that scoring run, and he's in front of Michel again here. They'll throw it to Payne out of the backfield with some room to maneuver. And he's got another first down to Paul.
Last week against Miami, Justin Thomas, upper body injury on that first drive for Georgia Tech. Afterwards, limped off to the sideline. Trainers working on his right knee. I will keep you both updated on his status.
Well, Paul, he's the junior out of Prattville, Alabama. Sony Michel on first down after taking over. He's wrapped up by Patrick Gamble.
Talked about Golden early. He's that safety is going to get up in the box. Led the team in tackles last week with 7. He is a disruptive force on the front and back end of this senior-led defensive back position. All 4 guys are seniors, over 203 games played. They'll be important on this last game at home for all 4 of them. Georgia Tech showing blitz, inside linebackers going to come inside.
Georgia able to handle it. Godwin reels it in at the 30, and he's shoved out of bounds around the 21-yard line. Golden had the coverage, but Godwin had a couple of steps on him.
Great protection. Georgia Tech brings a blitz, the deep ball, and Coach Brian Schottenheimer's talked about on the deep ball, make sure you get some air on it for the receivers to get a chance to catch it right here. Godwin runs a nice corner route for 28 yards on the catch, perfectly thrown, right on the outside of his hands. And that's the big plays, the explosive plays that they've wanted right now. Godwin, a true freshman. He's had some ups and downs, but he has a tremendous upside for this offense.
Out of Callaway High School in Hogansville, Georgia, the number 5 rated athlete in the class. As Reggie Davis gets nowhere, Tyler Marcordes with the tackle. Godwin, also a terrific baseball player, was drafted by the Atlanta Braves, so that speaks to the kind of athlete that he is. He had a 12-yard touchdown last week.
They put a ton on his plate. He plays receiver. They put him in the wildcat. He'll play a little bit of that quarterback position, working jet sweeps, running the football. So he's been a young player that they're asking and put a lot on his plate to play.
And an even bigger job today with the loss to injury of Isaiah McKenzie. Lambert looking to dump it off to Michel. He's got some green in front of him. Hurdles the defender and gets knocked out of bounds by Damon Smith as he went airborne, out of bounds around the 13-yard line.
One thing the coaching staff said about Sony Michel was his ability to be versatile, and they love his pass-catching ability. On his left hand, folks, he's got a cast on his right hand, excuse me. It's making it tough to utilize him out of the backfield, but the concentration there, you see the speed. He is a great complimentary back to Nick Chubb when he was healthy, now getting the workload for this team.
Broke that hand in the Florida game earlier this year. The Bulldogs threatening again as we end the first quarter. They lead it 7-0, trying for their 9th win of the season. Tech Tower, the administration building here at Georgia Tech. As we start the second quarter, the Bulldogs with a 34-yard touchdown run from Sony Michel, leading this one 7-0. Now the Bulldogs down in the red zone, facing a 3rd and 1 from just outside the 12-yard line. This is Michel trying to lean for it after he was met in the backfield by Marcordes.
They went big on the outside. Unbalanced. 3 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, and a fullback. Tried to get that push. Again, didn't get the first down. They're going to go for it here.
Michel had started to trot off the field, and now he's back on. 2 fullbacks, Payne and Hicks.
Got him with some play actions with the tight end and fullbacks last couple 3rd downs.
On 4th down. They'll try the fullback. It's Quavon Hicks with just his 4th rush of the season, and it will depend on the spot. That entire front line got together to mash on him. And he comes up short. Georgia Tech holds on 4th down.
And Hicks is 6'2", 255 pounds. They thought maybe they could get some push up front. Came up short. Georgia Tech defense need to come up big. They get the big stop on 4th down, trying to switch up the momentum for their offense.
You're watching college football presented by 5 Hour Energy. Georgia with the lead over Georgia Tech, but the Yellow Jackets with a big 4th down stop. Their lone ACC win of the season. It's been a struggle for a Tech team that was favored to win their division. Clinton Lynch, long run of 28 yards for the 1st down, one of 7 different Jackets to carry the football here in the 1st half.
The perimeter, the alley defenders. Who's going to be in the spot to make the tackles? Right now they're picking on Leonard Floyd in space. Can he get the quarterback in the back? Well, right now, perfect pitch by Thomas. A nice block by the receivers on the outside. Ricky June, number 2. Big plays on the perimeter right now. This Georgia defense has to step up and find a way.
This is Griffin getting more action than he's seen in a while. Floyd does make the tackle there, but not until Griffin picks up 7 more. Paul?
Superstar recruit Trent Thompson. Big presence inside defensively for Georgia. He's been battling ankle injuries all season long. Right now came off the field in pain. His right ankle acting up again. Trainer's taking off his shoe. I'll let you know if he returns.
Thank you, Paul. His replacement, James DeLoach, has already made a couple of big plays here this afternoon. Floyd standing up on the left side of the line. The run goes up the middle. Gaines makes the tackle on Marcus Marshall, but Marcus picks up the 1st down and 9 more yards.
One thing that this Georgia defensive front will have to deal with is chop blocks on the inside, their defensive tackles. They're going to try to bring 2 offensive linemen sometimes to cut down their middle linebacker, Jake Gaines. So they'll have to be fundamentally sound, and right now Georgia Tech looks like they found some holes in this Georgia defense.
Give us up the middle. Marcus Marshall with a nice move down to the 16-yard line to move the chains. Thank you, Chris. The Buckeyes trying to bounce back from that loss to Michigan State. Thomas looking for somebody to pitch it to, and there was nobody behind him. And he's taken down for a loss of 1.
Yeah, that 3rd option, that pitch option, Lynn Griffin, number 27. He's supposed to be that back, but he's blocking. Nobody's there. And Justin Thomas trying to make something out of nothing there. Loses some yards in the red zone.
Griffin with a lot of opportunities. Only 8 carries all year coming in today. Georgia Tech usually very good in the red zone at converting into touchdowns when they get this close. Thomas going to keep. Spins into Aaron Davis down at the 14-yard line. On the 10th play of the drive, which started back on their own 12-yard line. 27 touchdowns on 35 trips. That's 2nd best in FBS.
Yeah, and right now Georgia on defense, they see it. They brought the corner on the outside to help in that perimeter. Georgia Tech so effective in this run game. Deceptions, you got to be in the right spots. Right now finding some early holes and blocking the middle backer for Georgia, making it hard for them to stop this run game.
Thomas. The pass intercepted at the goal line. Dominic Sanders trying to turn the corner around the 20 and out of bounds at the 23-yard line. 7th interception of the year for Thomas, and Sanders takes it 22 yards the other way.
Big play on this defensive side. Dominic Sanders leads his team now with his 5th interception on the season, and he's been kind of the ball hawk for the football team, but it's a huge play in the red zone. Georgia Tech's been so effective in the red zone. Georgia comes up big, reading the quarterback side, making the turnover. Justin Thomas has struggled. Big momentum change again. Now back to Georgia.
Well, after the interception, some contact, some clean old-fashioned hate there. Floyd and Thomas after the interception.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to see Leonard Floyd hit him in front of him there. It looked like he even hit him from the back. I mean, you're talking about a 6'6", 230-pound man hitting a 5'11",
buck 89.
Exactly. So again, if you're running towards the play, though, Thomas was got to keep your head on a swivel.
More importantly for the Yellow Jackets, the interception thrown by Thomas on the goal line, picked by Sanders, and now 1st and 10. Sony Michel with the catch out of the backfield, diving for the first down marker, but he stepped out of bounds much prior to that. Well, tonight, yeah, they had a couple of games without a touchdown, in fact, which is a rarity over the years with the quarterbacks and the running backs they've had at Georgia. Godwin out to the 25-yard line. They'll get some of that back. P.J. Davis with the tackle.
Getting Godwin involved early in the passing game. You see the short passes, trying to get the completion percentage up, trying to get the ball accurate out of the quarterback's hands. They've done that. They've hit a nice deep pass. Now Grayson Lambert's going to have to step up and make a play here on 3rd and 9. Watch number 35 on this Georgia Tech defense as one of those blitzers right here.
He's coming again. They pick him up initially. Gamble giving chase, and Lambert on the move, incomplete. And it's 4th down. The junior from Carrollton, Georgia, Patrick Gamble, got right up in the quarterback's face.
They brought pressure on the outside, and Gamble's just kind of reading the quarterback, and the center just loses him. Watch in the middle of your screen. Center sliding over to help. Nobody slides back to get Gamble. And he chases down, pressures Grayson Lambert, nothing home on the outside, trying to get the ball to Mitchell.
And A.J. Gray got in a hard shot at the tail end of that play on the quarterback, Lambert. He goes off to the sideline now on 4th down. Ramsey will try and pooch this and drop it down deep right at the goal line, and it will stay on the field of play down inside the 5. 41 yards on the punt by Ramsey. And that will put Georgia Tech back deep with just 19 seconds to go.
Well, there's Georgia.
Let's take a look at the Jiffy Lube expert analysis, Anthony.
This Georgia defense right now has struggled. Why? The Mike linebacker is going to be busy, and he has to recognize the fakes and the handoffs. Gaines gets in a bad spot. He has to chase from behind to get a big run. Now, in the middle of the field, you got to be able to get by the blocks of those guards and centers trying to pull up, and you got to find the football. Doesn't do it there. And lastly, again, shedding blocks. And if you're going to go underneath, you better come up and be able to make the tackle. He doesn't give himself a chance with angles. Right now, the Mike backer position has been a challenge. They've been working in a little bit of Roquan Smith, number 3, the true freshman, to help out. But it's been up and down for this Georgia defense stopping that run.
7-0, Georgia with the lead. We'll hear from Paul Carcaterra and Coach Mark Richt coming up in the Dave and Buster's halftime report. Now let's get you to Chris Cotter and Robert Smith in the studio with updates from around the country.
Coach, we saw a lot of the run game the last few weeks. More of Grayson Lambert today. Why?
Well, we just felt like we needed to mix it up, get good run-pass ratio. You can't just line up and run against a good defense.
Your defense, you thought playing on the perimeter would be critical. How would you assess that aspect?
So far, so good. The boys are playing hard. Got that turnover in the red area. They're number 2 in the nation scoring touchdowns down there, so that was a good get for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Clean old-fashioned hate continues here in Atlanta. 7-0 lead for Georgia over Georgia Tech on a Sony Michel touchdown run. Both teams also had an opportunity in the red zone that they could not cash in on. A 4th down stop for the Georgia Tech defense and an interception on the goal line for the Georgia D. The last time that Georgia Tech was shut out in the first half, you got to go back to 2008 at North Carolina. And the Dogs closing them out through the first couple of quarters. Georgia won the toss, received in the first half, so the Ramblin' Wreck getting set to return. And the kick will be a short one. Marcus Marshall going to take it at his own 9-yard line, and he'll get out to about the 29. Where Georgia Tech will take over. How about the run game for Georgia Tech in that first half?
Well, Jeremy Pruitt talked about it all this week and today with me. We got to stop the dive. They've done that well. Defensive tackles getting off blocks. Linebackers making play. The problem is the perimeter. And right now, your Mike linebackers going left when they're running right. You got your defensive ends and your strong safeties not in position to make plays, and your corners in those alley areas on the outside. And it's clear right now, Beth, the middle has been taken care of. But big yardage, 11-yard average and 7.1-yard average on the outside. They got to find a way. Let's see what the game plan is in the second half.
And yet, despite those issues on the perimeter, they have kept Tech off the scoreboard. The first pass completion of the afternoon to Brad Stewart there for the Jackets. Down to Paul.
Moments ago, caught up with Georgia Tech head coach Paul Johnson. He said they're doing a really nice job in the middle of the field. Two areas of concern. Not cashing in on third down because first and second down aren't good enough at times. And then the red zone, you saw the Justin Thomas interception. You have to clean up those things, he said. Defensively, thinks we're seeing a lot more of Grayson Lambert because they've been so good against the run, especially after that initial drive when Georgia scored.
Thank you very much, Paul. Marcus Marshall playing against his older brother Keith, who's on the Georgia side here this afternoon, is taken down by Sterling Bailey.
Go figure, they come out on first down out the gates, they throw a ball. I think they just had to do a check box, you know, get a catch to the receiver one time in this game. Now they can get back to their offense, but it has been crucial right now. This third and short situation, they have options now. They can actually run the perimeter game if they choose, or try to get a pass in a one-on-one situation on the outside.
3rd and 5, they need midfield. Lynch is the pitch man. He's got it, and he's got the first down. Hit by Mauger at the 45 as he gets into Georgia territory, picking up 11.
Right now, the alley players, whether that's a safety, a linebacker on the outside, freeze it right here. This cornerback's got to find a way to shed his block and make a tackle. Right now, the wide receivers, who don't get a lot of action in the pass game, have bought in and made big blocks on the outside for this Georgia Tech team.
That was Isaiah Willis, the junior out of Marietta, able to spring Lynch free. Now it's back to Marshall as the B-back. Ball down on the deck, bounces back up to Lynn Griffin. Gets away from Floyd, but not from Mauger. Ends up losing a yard. Griffin and Marshall nearly collided there in the backfield.
Yeah, 3 backs. I think someone actually went the wrong way, and the ball hit the ground. I'll give some credit to Griffin right now, being able to get back to the line of scrimmage, but Marshall looks like he was supposed to go one way. Griffin's supposed to be the running back getting the ball, and great job of getting back to the line of scrimmage, or at least close to it. Put them back in a big hole.
13 fumbles lost, second most in FBS. Of course, that is an issue when you run as much as they do. And Gaines getting into the backfield to blow that one up, taking down Lance Davis.
We just critiqued the middle linebacker, getting off blocks, shedding blockers, and going across downfield. Nice job by Gaines, obviously getting off and shedding those blockers to make a big play, knock them back even farther. And now you're in a position on 3rd and long. Georgia Tech, they completed 1 pass so far in this football game. It's a scary situation for this offense.
They converted just a moment ago with an 11-yard run by Lynch. Thomas does look to throw. Good protection against the 3-man rush, and the pass is caught. And then the ball is stripped loose. Ricky June had the first down, and Georgia may have stolen it away. Bulldogs have it. Recovered by James DeLoach. It was Dominic Sanders, the sophomore out of Tucker, Georgia, teaming up with Lorenzo Carter to rip that ball away from Ricky June.
Lorenzo Carter getting lost in space, but he's able to come back and strip the ball. 6'6", long arms. Huge play for this Georgia defense coming out at halftime.
Georgia's defense coming up big today against Georgia Tech, preserving the 7-0 lead. Beth Mowins along with 12-year NFL veteran Anthony Becht. And for Georgia's defense on their side of the field so far today, a fumble recovery, a pick, and a 4th down stop.
Sloppy play when they've gotten to their zone to potentially try to score and put some points on the board. And Georgia's done a nice job on defense, but you talked about the turnovers, and that's really been the big situation for this Georgia Tech team. 7 turnovers the last 2 games. Now enter this game. Add 3 more with that 4th down stop. It has not been pretty for them offensively.
Grayson Lambert. Play action with Sonny Michel going deep downfield off the fingertips of Malcolm Mitchell. Chris Milton on the coverage.
Grayson Lambert's been scrutinized with his deep ball, and he threw one today to Terry Godwin with the completion. Right here, I feel like this is a perfectly thrown ball to their leader, Malcolm Mitchell on the outside, just off his fingertips. Senior wide receiver, big numbers, by far their leading receiver on this football team and his go-to guy.
More than twice as many as anybody else. Lambert in that first half was 11 for 16, 141 yards. And here is Sonny Michel closing in on a 1,000-yard rushing season after picking up 66 yards in the first half. He's got 6 more to go to get to 1,000.
Well, Sonny started this game off big, some big bunches of yards. Credit this Georgia Tech defensive front of kind of collapsing him down. And really, Sonny has not gotten the activity into the second quarter early in this football game. See if they try to go to him later on. But right now, this 3rd and long, see if this Georgia Tech defense can get off the field.
Lambert setting up the screen for Michel. Breaks a tackle, has the 1st down into Tech territory as he stumbles inside the 45. 21 yards. We've seen his receiving skills here today as well.
He's had a tremendous day. And we talked earlier about tackling in space, and Golden's got an opportunity here to do it, but we talked about Sonny making people miss. So right there, Sonny gets the upper hand. We talked about catching the ball on the outside. He's got a cast on his right hand. It's been hard for him to catch football. Tremendous job.
And now Keith Marshall is the tailback, and Keith breaks a tackle to get to the next level, churning it out for a 1st down. 13 yards for Keith Marshall, the junior from Raleigh, North Carolina, who will graduate in December and try his luck in the NFL, and playing today against his younger brother Marcus.
760 yards his freshman year in 2012, tears his ACL in 2013, 2014 had a knee and an ankle. It's been up and down for him, deciding to go pro, but I'll tell you what, he is a powerful downhill back.
Payne is the fullback in front of him. Keith will get the call again. A big burst through the right side. And another nice chunk of yardage for Keith Marshall, who arrived on the scene with Todd Gurley a few years ago.
Right now, John Thesis, the right tackle. Cablano, the right guard. They're opening up some holes on that right side, and that's what they were doing early in this game. I think right now, Georgia offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer should continue to pound the rock, set up a play-action pass, maybe to one of their tight ends moving forward in the red zone.
Theus is the 4-year starter, the senior out of Jacksonville, Florida. Goes to Marshall again off that side. Keith was telling the story the other day about playing against his brother Marcus. Keith and John Theus, as the flag flies, Keith and John Theus were watching Marcus's debut. It was a Thursday night game against Alcorn State. And Keith and Theus were jumping all over the place as Marcus had a huge day, 184 yards, a touchdown on his first carry as a freshman.
Yeah, you know, not only are they dominating up front on this drive, but it looks like Georgia Tech can compound the problem.
After the play, dead ball, unsportsmanlike, defense, number 40. Half the distance to the goal, number 40 is ejected. Number 40 is ejected.
That is P.J. Davis, the junior from Cairo, Georgia, who will take a swing at one of the Georgia guys.
Yeah, that's a huge problem right now for this Georgia Tech offense. Watch number 40 right here, Davis. He's going to take a swing here, gets pushed. Of course, they always find the second guy, Beth. And he's been ejected from this football game. A huge loss, their top all-around backer.
He took a swing at Brandon Cablano, so an ejection for P.J. Davis. Their leading tackler is out of the game. Back to Sony Michel, runs it up the middle. Kishon Freeman with the stop.
That could be costly, Beth, in the running game right now. Trying to get that pressure, and they're taking advantage of it, Georgia, even when he's in the game, trying to speed it up.
Michel off the right side, down to the 2-yard line. Jamal Golden with the stop.
Well, right now they feel like they have an advantage on the right side of the defensive line for this Georgia Tech defense. Rook-Chong Gong on the outside, number 41, Patrick Gamble. They're attacking that right side. Tight ends overload. Trying to punch this ball in the end zone.
And congratulations to Sony Michel. That last carry gets him to 1,000 yards on the season. He'd like a couple more here on 3rd down. He's offset. Remember, to Godwin, it was the motion man, and he's denied. DJ White, who had the huge interception in overtime to preserve the win over Georgia last year with a nice wrap-up.
Really is one-on-one tackling, something that they've struggled with. But the senior, his last home game, making a statement right there with that one-on-one tackle, holding him off, forcing a potential field goal.
Marshall Morgan, who is 3rd all-time in career scoring at Georgia, behind Blair Walsh and Billy Bennett. 19-yard attempt right here. And a whistle on the attempt. Some more pushing and shoving inside. Do not see a flag, so the field goal is good, and it's on the board. 10-0 Dogs here midway through the 3rd. It's become a Thanksgiving weekend tradition whenever Georgia is playing here in Atlanta. To go visit local hospitals. The team went to the Shepherd Center as well as the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Hospital yesterday to spread a little holiday cheer. Good on the Bulldogs as they come to Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field today. They have a 10-0 lead, 5:55 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Marshall Morgan with the 19-yard field goal to extend the advantage. Keith Marshall had a couple carries for Georgia on that scoring drive, and little brother Marcus is back to receive for the Jackets from his own 5. He'll get out to the 23. Iowa improving to 12-0 with their win at Nebraska yesterday. The pass to Lynch, caught out across the 40-yard line. Jake Gaines with the tackle as we take a look at this week's rankings, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. The top 4 are just like yours, Anthony, except maybe you got Iowa and Oklahoma swapped.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Oklahoma has done a nice job of putting themselves in contention, but Iowa, let's give credit to Kirk Ferentz and what they've done at Iowa, running the table, 12-0. Hard to win them all, and that 0 to me means a lot.
TCU beat Baylor last night, so that has knocked the Bears out of the race. This will be Lynn Griffin getting away from Floyd and getting the first down into Georgia territory. And Lynn is fired up after that carry.
Right, they have a problem on the perimeter right now. Look, Leonard Floyd is a very good athlete, but he's not good enough when he doesn't have the angle. There's nobody there. The Mike backer's not there. There's no corner, and there's no strong safety filling the alley. Who is the alley defender going to be to stop those perimeter runs? Right now, Georgia Tech's going to continue to do it until Georgia figures it out.
Thomas thought about the pitch. Too many red jerseys around him, led by Sanders, along with Sterling Bailey.
Yeah, and there's Dominic Sanders coming down. Finally, they get one of their strong safeties involved in that alley area. And Justin Thomas has to be quick. He's going to creep down, number 24 right here. Watch him as he flows. Defensive tackles too. Bailey, Shedden. Again, multiple players. You need to have red jerseys in that area. Nice job there.
Willis was the motion man. Thomas is in trouble. And Thomas will be taken down for a loss. And it's 3rd down and long. So another trip here into Georgia territory. They've turned it over 3 times. Once on downs, once with a pick, once with a fumble. And the move stalling here with a couple of negative plays.
Yeah, they're going the wrong direction right now. And you can see Paul Johnson is not happy. He's yelling at everybody or anybody that'll look at him. I don't think too many people are looking at him. Just disappointed.
No eye contact.
Yeah, no eye contact. Well, they can't get anything going in the passing game, and they've hurt themselves. Now they put themselves in a tough situation here on 3rd and long.
Carter with some pocket pressure, and the pass is incomplete. He was looking for Ricky June, but Lorenzo made sure that he didn't have a whole lot of time.
They're just going to run a comeback, and Justin Thomas feels pressure. He's got to get out of his hands early, and there's just nothing there. It's been a challenge. One, protection. They're going to go deep here. A potential field goal, though, Ben.
Yeah, it's Harrison Butker out there. Not the punter, it's the kicker. Butker looking for a 55-yarder. His last attempt was a made 53-yarder against Florida State on October 24th.
Also this deep, watch for low kicks, blockable area for this defense.
Butker's boot is on its way, and it is no good. So off of the miss now, Georgia will have a shorter field to work with, and a 10-0 lead with 1:09 to go in the 3rd. Sonny Michel, the deep back in the eye, has gone over 1,000 yards on the season here today, and looking to add to it. Another big burst inside the 30-yard line, and Chris Milton saves the touchdown after a 33-yard scoot.
One of the best attributes I like about Sonny is making people miss, but he hits the hole so hard. Watch how he gets to stick his foot, and he goes. Another missed tackle. 2 of them right there by just Georgia Tech defense. It's been the thorn in their side. He's right in position. Sonny keeps grinding his legs, makes a potential 1-yard loss into a big gain for this offense.
4th time this year, over 100 yards for Michel. Lambert will use him on play action and then dump it off for Malcolm Mitchell. Tackled by Brent Mitchell. That's the 2nd catch today for Mitchell.
Tyler McCordis, number 35. He's their most experienced defensive player, Beth. Opportunity there to make a tackle in the backfield, doesn't get it done. You got to get low, wrap low, and it's been costly not only today but during this whole season.
That'll take care of the 3rd quarter in this 110th meeting of clean old-fashioned hate. Still plenty to go around for Georgia and Georgia Tech as we head to the 4th. Georgia with the lead over Georgia Tech 10-0 as we head to the 4th quarter. The numbers, well, 2 big ones for Georgia Tech, a couple of turnovers. They've also been denied on a 4th down in Georgia territory. Neither side has been very good on 3rd downs today. 15 minutes to go. Keith Marshall is now in at tailback with Georgia on the move. Lambert, incomplete. How about it? And we're going to keep it here with a 3rd down and 8 for the Dogs from the Tech 27.
Malcolm Mitchell, number 26, is Lambert Grayson's favorite target. He's at the top of the screen here on the inside.
Looking that way on the crossing route. It's Godwin instead with the catch at the 20, and he's going to be a yard short, it appears, with Golden on the tackle.
It's obviously Godwin has some tremendous hands. Some of the catches I've seen on film along with today as he plucks the ball out of the air has been tremendous. They used Mitchell as a decoy underneath. Again, the depth wasn't there on that first down, so they'll have to go for a field goal attempt.
Morgan has been good today from 19 yards. This will be from 37. Perfect. 13-0, Georgia. Early fourth quarter, pitching the shutout so far on Georgia Tech. Early fourth quarter, Marshall Morgan with a couple of field goals. Sony Michel, a 34-yard touchdown run as he has gone over 1,000 yards for the season. And it's a 13-0 lead for Georgia Tech. Very rare for the Jackets to have a goose egg up on the board. Marshall from his own goal line, cut down at the 15-yard line.
Just 3 for 12 in this football game, 39 yards, an interception. Just not the Justin Thomas we saw last year, who was coming off an MVP performance in the Orange Bowl.
And negative yards rushing today as well for Thomas, who is coming back from the injury he sustained in their last game. Also got hurt, was out a few plays in the first half here today. They'll keep it on the ground with Scove. He runs into the arms of Jake Gaines as that clock continues to roll now under 6 minutes.
Gaines has recovered quickly from the first half where he was trying to figure out where everybody was at in the ball movements and the misdirection, making a big tackle on Scove there. And this is what Georgia Tech's got. They have dive plays with 5:46 left to try to move the ball down the field, trying to break something free. Georgia's done a nice job of preventing explosive plays in the run game.
Thomas. And the completion to Ricky June, and that's a first down and out of bounds. 5:30 to go.
And the crowd goes wild. They get a completion, a comeback route. Ricky June, well designed. He's got some time, protected well, and they went to their top receiver, who's graded out the best week in and week out, but majority of that's been because he's been a good blocker.
He's got a couple of catches, Lynch and Stewart, with 1 reception each. The only completed pass plays, and Thomas down in the backfield.
Again, you got a snap issue with your center. The problem is sophomore Andrew Marshall is not the starter. Freddie Burton is the normal starter, number 58. They get a poor snap.
Marshall.
He's back in the game now, Ben.
Yeah, Burton comes back quickly. I'll run it with Marcus Marshall up the middle. He and his brother Keith on opposite sides today. The brothers have rushed 12 times here this afternoon as the clock continues to roll. Georgia Tech is up against it. 236 games in a row without being shut out. Back to 1997. At home, you got to go back to 57. Trying to get some points up.
They had a couple of those A-backs in the alley in the passing game that were open but poorly thrown. Let's watch these off backs outside of the tight ends to see if they can get the ball in the alleys.
Thomas looking for June along the sideline, incomplete, out of bounds.
They're going to have to go for it on 4th down. There's a late flag, though.
This might be a mistake from Gaines after the fact.
After the play, have unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense number 51. That is his first unsportsmanlike conduct. First down.
It's a bit unorthodox for a linebacker. Gaines, one of the team leaders, and he's kind of saying, look, I was just shaking my arms off saying they didn't get it. Apparently the referees thought differently, and that's huge because now that was the biggest play Georgia Tech had in that last series.
And they get the fresh set of downs Under 4 minutes to go. Thomas to Marshall. Rumbles down inside the 20. First down Tech, 17 yards.
See to get the catch out of bounds. There's Gaines. And you know what? He did taunt him, so that's why he got the flag. So right now, Georgia Tech trying to take advantage of it.
Still just a 2-touchdown game from the Tech perspective. Thomas looking for Ricky June in the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia Tech.
You make a brutal mistake on defense, you get an unsportsmanlike flag, and Georgia Tech makes you pay. Justin Thomas has been off all day. Ricky June, though, I'll tell you what, he's got some nice hands. Watch this, tracking the ball, eyes on it, getting his feet down. A lot of things going on that catch. Impressive. Hands catching, toes down in the end zone. Well thrown behind. Excellent.
Nice comeback, too, for Ricky June, who had that fumble in the third quarter. So now not just ruining the shutout bid, but the extra point here. And Georgia Tech is within 6. 7 plays, 64 yards, under 3 minutes, aided by the Gaines taunting penalty. And with 3:24 to go and a couple of timeouts as well for Georgia Tech, none left for Georgia. Georgia certainly lining up as if the onside kick is coming. The last 2 meetings have gone to overtime. And now Georgia Tech making things interesting again.
Paul Johnson's been clear he has not trusted his defense during this entire season.
Butker will boot it away over the head of Reggie Davis. And he'll scoop it up and take a knee at the 8-yard line.
Not well played by this Georgia receiving team, taking a knee. I don't know if he thought he was in the end zone, but worked out to be a pretty good kick. And now, this defense for Georgia Tech, much maligned during this season. Can they come up with a stop and get their offense on the field? Georgia's been in control offensively. A lot of Sony Michel here.
Play action for Lambert. Throwing down the middle of the field to his tight end, Jeb Blazevich. First down, Bulldogs.
Well, we talked about taking gambles. They go with no safety. Perfect play call by Schottenheimer. There's no safety in the back end. It's going to be play action. Freeze it right here. Look at the tight end run right down the middle. Nobody's there. Easy throw, easy catch. It's a well-designed play and a great call by offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer.
His first catch of the day for the sophomore out of Charlotte Christian.
He gets some breathing room now. Now let's see him hand the ball off and see if Sony can get some big plays.
Under 3 minutes to go and running. Speaking of running, Sony Michel to the 35. Noble with the stop.
Timeout. Georgia Tech.
Tech will use one of its timeouts, 1 to go.
30 seconds timeout.
And so they find themselves back in the chase for a conference title and perhaps the national championship as Michel to the outside. Shoved out of bounds and another set of downs for Georgia. 19 more yards for Sony Michel, now close to $150 on the day.
He's had a huge game, and you see the tremendous speed on the outside. Stepped in well into this position. He's got an injured hand, great blocking up front. Really, this drive has been signature for Georgia right now, starting all the way pinned back on the 8-yard line. Big play action play, nice run. Sony on the outside.
Play clock under 10. Keith Marshall now in at tailback. We'll get the call in his final rivalry game against Tech.
Timeout. Georgia Tech.
And Georgia Tech will use its final timeout as we go under 2 minutes to play. Mark Richt quickly putting down questions about his job security this week as Nick Chubb looks on from the sideline. And if you win here, you're a bowl win away from another 10-win campaign. A couple more yards for Michelle. Should run this down right around to what, a minute 10 to go before they'd have to snap it.
Yeah, it's
3rd and 6, you get a conversion here and it's done.
well, you're going to run the ball here. There's no question. You don't want this clock to stop. Even if you don't get it, they're only going to leave them about a little less than 20 seconds on the clock.
Keith Marshall to the 39-yard line. That will be short. Mercortez with the tackle as the clock will continue to run. And Georgia in a 4th down situation here. The clock will run down to around 40 seconds or so to go. And now it's stopped again, and Richt is livid.
109, please, on the play call on the game clock. Please put 109 on the game clock. Thank you.
Both coaches, everybody's looking up, trying to figure out what's going on here. The 40's back on. They got it timed up. They'll have well, Georgia's going to have to. They're not going to be able to stop the clock with the timeout because they have none left. So they'll run another play here. And if Georgia Tech can stop them, they'll have about what, about 30 seconds, give or take.
Under that, I believe, as you see the.
It's not over till it's over, Beth.
Colin Barber is in to punt for the first time today instead of Bryce Ramsey. A low driving punt. Golden at the 4-yard line. And taken down at the 15. 11 yards on the return. Rankin with the tackle.
Yeah, Jamal Golden, a senior on this team, catches the ball, a line drive punt at the 8-yard line. Let it go in the end zone. You save some time. He catches it. Now instead of having 20+ seconds, they only have 17. And listen, you are way behind the 8 ball with this offense right now with a quarterback that doesn't have a tremendously strong arm, and your only wide receiver weapon that's big enough and strong enough to potentially make a catch is number 2, Ricky June, who's lined up on the bottom of your screen in the middle of that bunch set.
17 seconds and no timeouts. Justin Thomas heaves it upfield, and it's almost intercepted. Dropped by Lorenzo Carter. 10 seconds to go.
And before we start criticizing Lorenzo Carter, he is an outside linebacker playing in space. So again, you know, I'm not going to crucify a young man for dropping the ball. He's in the right place. But 6'6", read nice. You know, linebackers have stone hands. They're not meant to catch footballs, Beth. I can tell you that. But he's in the right spot. He's a big-armed, long-arm. He is the future. If Leonard Floyd decides to go to the next level this year, being that he's 23 going on 24, he's next in line to be that pass rush stud.
Thomas with 6 completions today. Can he get another big one? 3-man Georgia rush. Thomas will throw again, and this one is picked. Malcolm Parrish. And that will take care of things. Parrish with the interception to end it, and Georgia beats Georgia Tech 13-7. The defense forcing 3 turnovers as well as a turnover on downs here this afternoon.
It's a prevent defense, and Justin Thomas, just not a lot of places to go. And we talked about Malcolm Parrish, sophomore cornerback. It's been a ball hawk of late.
Paul Carcaterra now with the winning coach, Mark Richt.
Coach, this Georgia Tech triple option, never easy to deal with. You held them scoreless for over 56 minutes. Why was that unit so effective today?
Well, they just did a good job of being disciplined in their gaps. They did a great job of handling the perimeter looks that can, spring a big play, and they just defeated blocks and made tackles. But great plan by Coach Pruitt and the rest of the defensive staff. Really proud of the job everybody did. But it's a team victory all the way, and really thankful that we got it.
Your superstar running back, Nick Chubb, went down against Tennessee. Enter Sony Michel, over 150 yards today, 1,000 on the season. Describe what he means to your team.
Well, you know what? We've always known he's a great player and a better person, and just really proud of him. But it takes a lot of blocking, as you know. Again, a team effort, and just really thankful for the job that he's done as well.
Coach, you've won 9 games. When your job status is brought up, what's your response?
I don't think much about it. I think the Lord's in charge of everything, so I don't worry too much about it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. The Georgia Bulldogs go to 9-3. They'll get ready for their 19th trip to a bowl game. The season comes to a close for the Yellow Jackets at 3-9. College football continues on ESPN2. But first, let's send you to Chris Cotter and Robert Smith in the studio.